Hey everybody, welcome to Principles of Policing. My name is Susan Figge and I'm going to be a professor for the next 6 weeks. My background in policing is I was a police officer for 32 years. My entire life I knew I wanted to be a police officer and worked towards those goals to get there. But there's so many parts of police work. So many different things under the umbrella of what law enforcement is or criminal justice is. We have cyber security, we have TSA, we have the corrections, we have the courts, we have so many different umbrellas, marshals, that I hope you realize that there's a lot of different people in here for a lot of different reasons, and I understand that. So on this particular one, we're going to go principles of policing, and there's some really interesting course assignments that are coming up that I found I can't wait to read what you have to write about. But day one, I want you to know what I expect of you and what you can expect of me. The first thing you need to know is that I'm accessible and I will send my number to each and every one of you. You can text me if you need help with anything. You can call me. Texting is easier because my phone's almost always on mute, but I look at my text very frequently and I will answer as soon as I'm able to do so. So I want you first to go to your syllabus and read your syllabus. And when you read your syllabus, I need you to look at the policies and procedures of attendance. This seems to be one of the areas that is very clouded at times, but I want you to know that I'm not clouded about it. And I need you to stay in touch with me if for some reason you're not going to be getting your work in a class. So we'll talk about that. But the first thing is I want you to know by the first Saturday of the first session, you must have work in. If you do not, you will be taken out of the class automatically by the school. So your work has to be in on time, first week, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is the set rule. So it has to be in by 11:59 on the Saturday. But let's start and talk about the discussion. The discussion is due on the first Thursday of the class. The discussion's at 11:59, the first discussion. The discussion is, we're going to go over that as well, what is expected of that, but that has to be in, and then all of your responses must be in by 11:59 on Saturday. At midnight, I'll get a big red thing across my screen that'll say late. And if it comes out as late on your discussions, on your responses will not count. But let's say, for example, that you don't get your discussion in. You can still do your responses and get 60% of your grade, but it must be in by 11:59 on that Saturday and not a minute later. If it comes in later, it will not be accepted and it'll be a 0. So we're pretty clear on that. If you have any questions on that, I'm accessible to talk about that as well. You need to look at your rubric to see what's expected of you on your discussion. And we're going to go to the discussion right away for week 1. We'll pop back to the syllabus, by the way. So on the first week, your discussion is going to be during the 19th century, police departments often provide social services such as emptying public privies and removing garbage. What type of social services do our law enforcement officers engage today? What does providing these social services today suggest about the evolving role of law enforcement officials in the current era of policing? This has to be in, and you will notice it has to be in by Thursday of that week at 11:59. All right, but if you don't, you can still get 60% for the bottom 3 rubric rows. Make sure you look at your rubric for this and see what's expected of you. Now, I will tell you that you must have a source and you must post your source. Very often people will do their discussion and forget to post the source and say, oh, what am I going to do now? Well, add it in as quick as you can. You cannot override it, what you put in for discussion, but you can put it on below that. So make sure you do that and please do not forget it. Your responses need to be more than, hey, that was a really good discussion you gave there. You did a great job there. Because you know what? Most of the time you guys do great jobs in those. Your response has to be more of like, I agree with you on this, but, or I don't agree with you on this because. And you need to be able to show where your answer is coming from. You need to be able to give more of sustenance than just agreeing with someone that they did a great job. All right, so that is your discussion, and I think this will be very interesting. I don't know if you guys know this easy thing to do, but if you highlight something and you're looking for something to Google search, you can right-click it, and then you can go search Google, and it'll take you right to where you need to be. So that's my little hint for you on I've taught that to many, many students on how to go directly to Google from the question. And I will tell you, police departments are social service agencies. They have been for a long time, but they are more so now, as they should be. And feel free to put what you think in there as well. The next thing I want to talk to you about is your assignment on reading and writing. So your written assignment is, I cannot wait to read this. I think this is going to be very exciting because a lot of people will say defund the police. Well, what does defund the police mean? What does that mean to you? Does it mean let's get rid of the police departments and we'll have chaos? Or does it mean let's rework them? Let's get the police to be more social workers or get the police to be more tactical. I mean, you have to tell me what you think should be in there. So what you are going to do is, before you do this, you're going to imagine yourself as a member of Congress, and your staff assistant brings you a proposal to nationalize law enforcement. Now, if you don't think this is going to be a daunting task, I just want you to look at what happened during the Boston Marathon, when you had all those agencies fighting to be the head duck. The ones that wanted to be the one in charge. So you had the Boston Police Commissioner, you had the FBI, you had the state police, you had Homeland Security, all wanted to be the person in charge. They all have these really big egos, and it doesn't always work in law enforcement. So now you are going to be the person that's going to put it on nationalized law enforcement. That means you're going to bring everybody together, and not everybody's going to get along because they all have like that little I'm in charge bit going on. So when I read this, I thought, oh, this is going to be a hard assignment, but it'll be fun to read and it'll be fun to look at. So you're going to find a new organization. Now, TSA has already adapted some of this. TSA and your Homeland Security, I'm sorry, not your TSA, but your Homeland Security umbrellas 18 different agencies at least, and they put them all under one. So you have to look at that and say, okay, what are we going to do here? And when you look at salaries, I thought that would be interesting because when you look at some departments, they make big money and other departments do not. So how are you going to standardize that? How are you going to standardize the training? Is the training going to be different for corrections versus law enforcement? Because corrections typically doesn't do your Chapter 90, which is your motor vehicle, in Massachusetts. But in Florida, sheriffs do all the motor vehicle in Chapter 90. So how are you going to do that? And if you expect more out of people, if you expect them to be in an academy or to have a 4-year degree, how are you going to compensate for that? So think about what you would think would need to professionalize police officers. What are some of the classes that you're going to want to do? How is a big town versus a small town different? How are you going to entwine them all together? Very interesting, and I can't wait to see what you write about it. Remember, voters will have a lot to say about it. Your state and local politicians, they all want to be in charge as well. And police officers, how are they going to be? Are they going to resist change? How are they going to handle it? How did they resist change when Homeland Security came in and took over all the agencies? And will you support the proposal? Why or why not? So I know there's a lot of people that feel there should be more mental health put into police work. Well, police deal with mental health every single day. So this will be an example I will give you. Every single day they deal with mental health. And yet we have mental health people who have doctors in it. Are you going to make a police officer be a doctorate? Or on Saturday night when they're dealing with a situation, how far do we expect them to get? Where can we get them to be? What are some of the tactics that they should learn? One of the things I was taught in the academy was verbal judo, how to talk somebody with your hands and how to calm a situation down, and it works some of the times, and some of the times if you add mental illness and drugs and alcohol, it combusts. So ask yourself, how, as a police officer, what skills do we want them to learn? Do we want them to have better shooting skills, better coping skills? Do we want them to have, what are some of the things you think makes a good law enforcement? And now remember, you're bringing all of these together. So they're training what is going to be the standard. So interesting. So on that paper, you have to have 4 to 5 pages. That doesn't mean 3.5 pages, and it doesn't mean 3 3/4. It means 4 full pages of content from top to bottom. So you're talking 4 full pages of content. You have to have 2 sources. There's sources everywhere for this. This is, a hot topic right now, so you can find them almost anywhere. And your paper has to have a front sheet and a back sheet. And the back sheet would be where your sources are, and the front sheet will be where you write about what your paper is going to be. It will go into a Turnitin score. If you don't know how to find your Turnitin score, you need to do that. And because if it comes in a high Turnitin score, you're going to get marked down. In previous classes, I've told people, okay, your Turnitin score is really high, but I've thought about this. I'm not helping anybody by that. You need to look at it yourself, figure it out. I'll try and help you. If it comes back high and before the bewitching hour of 11:59 on a Saturday, and you want me to help you figure out how you can change it, contact me. I'll work with you on that. Now, which brings me to if your paper is going to be late. If you are going to be late, if you can't get your paper, this entire class is about time management. We are all adults. Time management. Every single day, I go to the computer first thing in the morning and last thing at night, because I know that I need to address things first thing in the morning and last thing at night. You should be working on these papers. You can be working on them now. You could be working on week 5 right now if you wanted, but you should be working on these papers all along. And you have knowledge path in here now, and that's something that will take you anywhere from a few minutes to an hour to do each week, or at least that's what I've seen in past, where it usually takes them, it can take them 10 minutes or it can take them 2 hours to do a week's assignment on knowledge path. I think those are very interesting, and I hope that you enjoy doing them. But I will tell you, it is all about using your time wisely. So if you call me on a Saturday night and you say, I am not having any luck getting my paper into you today because I can't get my computer to work, and you just started working on your computer on Saturday night to get your paper in for 11:59, that's going to be unexcused, and you will have until Wednesday on your late work. So we're going back to our course syllabus, your late work. Late work. You have from week 2 to 5, and not week 6, not week 1. You have 2 to 5, you can turn papers in late. It is a 30% deduction for your written paper, not your discussions. So 30%. All right. KP must be turned in by Saturday at 11:59. All right, must be turned in 11:59. All accepted, and I'm going to highlight this. All accepted late work defined as any other than discussions, labs, and quiz will be suffer 30% deduction taken prior to the possible deductions. For example, in an assignment of 100 points, it would automatically start at grade 70. If you had a 60 on your paper, you would get a 30. So it's really important to make sure your papers are in on time, because that 30% is very hard. All right, that 30% is very hard to get back. If you have a legitimate reason, I encourage you to contact me before the paper is due, and we can discuss what you'll need to show that it's a legitimate reason. I've had many different legitimate reasons. I had someone that had had a storm at her house, and she was able to show she had no Wi-Fi for 3 days. I get that. I gave an extra 3 days for that. So there are some legitimate reasons. Sickness is one. Family sickness is one. I got my master's at 40 years old. It was hard. I was raising kids. I was having, I had a father that was dying. I was working full time. I had a huge court schedule. I get it's hard. Time management. Start working on it as soon as you can. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.